So, with this sense of shame or whatever, it was always for me a um, a need to prove that I didn't fall in that category of females who could easily be controlled and manipulated. But that is one of those very things that someone, especially someone who's a pimp, because he ran on me like, oh, this is one of those females who got something to prove. She trying to go and pit herself against masculine energy to prove that she's not susceptible to it. That leaves her most vulnerable. And in my interaction with him, I just didn't care anymore. And that's a yay in my book. Because before, I would have fell for the bait and would have been engaged in like this battle type, a battle of will, so to speak. I have no battle at all because fortunately I no longer have anything to prove. Got to a point where I love myself enough and I can use my ego to my advantage as opposed to my disadvantage. And I respect the fact that when it comes to pimp game, he's light years ahead of me, and I would be stupid to try to go and put myself against him. But he was trying to incite that kind of a response, and I was peeping at. I'm like, I ain't scared, but I ain't stupid, and I no longer have anything to prove. So that was good. So it's kind of like, in a way, he's like reflecting these different aspects of myself, of how I would have been in the past with my old energy and the new energy I'm in now. And so as I'm sitting there observing this interaction, I'm becoming like I'm having these awarenesses and these realizations like um, one of the biggest problems I've ever had is that most religions insist that women should obey their husbands or obey all men because men are superior, essentially. Um, and even in the Quran in particular, it's like, it tells you that women should obey your husband, and part of the ayat is that men have a degree over you and so on and so forth and whatever, whatever. And if you're devoutly obedient and as part of your obligation as in your worship, correct and proper worship to Allah, etc. Anyway, but what I'm starting to understand is that some of these very patriarchal, chauvinistic beliefs that have been the strongest beliefs used or women have allowed to be used to more or less keep females in their place and keep and maintain suppression of female energy are just perversions of this natural interaction with masculine and feminine. And the reality is that there are certain areas of strength that masculine energy are for, and certain areas of strength that feminine energy is for, whether it's being used or tapped into by a male or female, because we all have aspects of both. But my understanding now is that feminine energy naturally, if the masculine energy proves itself trustworthy and reliable, wants to surrender to the direction of the masculine energy because it is the feminine energy that conceives, that gestates, that gives birth to whether it's an idea or an actual family or a child or a business or a community or any other entity that is created. It is the feminine energy that's the start. That's always why I've been finding it funny that people insist on making God a male when obviously the origin of everything is feminine. Anyway, or from the female energy. So that is the initial impetus or the where everything starts from, the beginning. But after this whole womb has essentially been created and this whole idea or concept or whatever has been given birth to, it is the masculine energy that gives it its direction and gives it its thrust and its external focus and actually goes and propels it forward and allows it to be able to manifest itself in in this three-dimensional reality that we live in and operate in. And so it's this natural inclination for women who are primarily feminine in their, in their energy, because not all women are but a majority of them are just by virtue of maybe hormones. No, it's more than that. But they have a desire or tendency to want to surrender to masculine direction that they can find trustworthy and dependable. And so here you have someone who's a pimp who can go and take that desire, especially from a female who's weak, who's been abused, who has very low self-esteem, and take that desire to surrender to masculine direction. He'll come in and be like, "I'll be your direction. I'll be your masculine energy. I'll take care of you. You don't have to worry. You just have to go and be like, yes, Daddy, I'll do whatever you want." So on and so forth. And I'm just getting this new appreciation for this. I'm like, so we have this concept of feminine surrender, female feminine energy surrendering to masculine direction, which women have allowed to be perverted and used against our own best interests, and men have manipulated for our own best interests, which has in turn resulted in everything just being totally fucked up. Um, and women, of course, getting the shorter end of the stick. But it explains why pimping has always been around, a problem will always be, and why in so many ways it's effective, and why women, even if they're intelligent enough or confident enough to not consciously go and allow themselves to be subjected to it, still find it attractive. Because at some point, when we talk about we want a man, feminine energy really is attracted to very masculine energy. And masculine energy is that which takes what the feminine has given birth to and shapes it and directs it and gives it form and gives it purpose and makes it happen. We like for a man to tell us what to do, provided he's trustworthy and he's loving and he's proven that he's worthy of us listening to take care of his responsibility. We like to feel that we're being protected and taken care of. We like a man to claim us as his own and makes us feel safe and protected, and that gives us the assurance that we can go and we have our womb space protected by this masculine energy, and we can focus on doing the things that we want to do that are more feminine energy directed. So all this is coming from this whole interaction. And then it proceeds. I just had these couple conversations, and then he goes and starts really going into the pimp mode. He was introducing me to this whole business, and it wasn't hoeing. It was something different. And he starts talking to me as though I'm a hoe in training. And I'm like, because obviously his interest in me to this point, this is a pimp mind. So you know they're never interested in a relationship. And then you also know that they expect women to work for them, to give them money and to take care of them, not the exact opposite. So it's kind of like they provide masculine direction, but these women are still providing for them in a way. So they're actually being more in a masculine way in the relationship with the men. So this is really perverted kind of energy dynamic. So it's masculine energy when you look at the pimp whole relationship that I'm just peeping. So he puts me in touch with this woman that he's working with in this particular business that I could go and, check it out for myself and see if I'm interested. And he's like, yeah, she's one of my women, and y'all need to go and know each other and be able to get along. So I want you to go and talk to her. And I'm like, okay, so what does that mean as far as where I am in this space? And when I talked to this sister, she seemed very professional and it was purely business. And I'm like, is that just his being delusional or is he telling the truth? But anything's possible. That's what I've learned. So I'm cracking up about that. And so then we're continuing this interaction, and he's insisting, like he's planting the seeds, like he's the most important thing in my life. So I had some prior appointments, and he had called me because he wanted to see if I had followed through and checked out this particular business opportunity he was presenting me with. And I was like, no, I have to go and, continue with these other prior appointments. Oh, so it has to be your way, right? And I'm like, yes, it does. It really has to be my way. So I'm not more important than these other appointments. No, you're not.